In a swamp, somewhere in the forests of Louisiana, we see an alligator being monitored by a chip. While another animal watches it pass in silence, it suddenly freezes when something even larger than the reptile attacks the alligator. The scene then turns to the city of New Orleans, where in a bar we meet two friends, Christine and Hannah. They are having fun, drinking cocktails, enjoying the moment to distract themselves and forget life's problems. However, the leisure does not last long, and Christine receives a call from her boss, Mr. Stone. He says that he did not approve her vacation, but Christine explains that she had been planning for a few months to take some time for herself, even working overtime so she could travel peacefully. However, her boss is rude, and because he does not approve of her taking a vacation at a crucial moment for the company, fires her and then hangs up. Back at the bar, Christine sees her friend talking to Jack, a tour guide. Hannah introduces the man to her friend, stating that he made an unmissable offer for them to visit the local swamps, enjoy the beautiful landscapes, and see incredible animals. Christine tells Hannah that she needs to return to the hotel and solve some personal problems. However, Hannah insists since she paid for the tour. Jack says he will meet them in the morning and guarantees a day of fun. After the guide leaves, Christine tells her about losing her job, and Hannah soon tries to distract her so she can enjoy the vacation she wanted so much. The next day, Jack arrives at the hotel to pick up the tour passengers. Among them is Mr. Tim's family, a retired firefighter, his nurse daughter Sally, and his grandson, the young Teddy. The two young women leave the hotel and confirm that they will go. Then, Jack registers the presence of Dion, who is dressed as if she were going to work. Unlike her, everyone is eager to see alligators through the region's swamps, while she only wants to take pictures of the animals to show her children, as she promised. The group gathers and soon leaves in Jack's van. The tour is a little far away, since they are going to a forested area before continuing to see such animals, which, to Tim, are considered and known as man-eaters. Jack takes the group to a lodge near the lake, where the meeting point is for visitors who take the tour boat to the swamps. The group enters the place, where there are many things to buy and also a small museum. Sally and her son go inside to see what is there, and are surprised by the number of bones from large animals. What draws their attention the most is the skull of some large animal, with enormous tusks. Teddy jokes, saying it looks like an extinct saber-toothed tiger predator, but Walker, an excellent hunter, enters and says it is not the animal they think. In fact, Walker states that he himself captured and killed that animal, being lucky to come out alive, since the large animal is aggressive and territorial, being responsible for more than 600 deaths per year. The expert says the animal is vegetarian, but questions the visitors about the reason for so many deaths caused by it. With no answers, Walker states that it is a hippopotamus, and that it is only for fun that such animals dare to attack and kill humans. Sally asks if there are still hippopotamuses in Louisiana, and Walker says he believes there are no more, because that is an environment totally different from their natural habitat. Teddy finds it funny that a vegetarian animal can cause such destruction. Walker corrects him, stating that he has already witnessed a hippopotamus attack both a lion and a car weighing more than 2 tons, as if they were only toys that caused it no fear at all. The hunter says that, at the turn of the last century, a visionary man wanted to bring dozens of these animals to replace the consumption of beef. The young friends enter and, upon hearing the story, question the fact that people believe this herbivorous animal is a good creature. However, Walker, knowing the danger he has already faced, states that such an animal is only good when it is dead. Minutes later, the group heads off for the fun, and Jack checks his GPS to see where the animal monitored by a chip is. Then, when everyone is on the boat, Jack gives life jackets to Sally and Dion, then goes over the necessary instructions they need to follow, because the animal they will encounter is almost 4 meters long, being the largest in the monitored region. Finally, the time comes for them to leave. The group follows the river and admires the native animals of the region. Soon, they enter the chain of lakes and swamps. Time passes, and after 1 hour, Jack is asked when they will see the great alligator. Jack looks at the GPS, realizes they are getting closer, and gets the group excited to record the unmissable moment. Jack reaches the position near where the creature they have been so eager to observe is located, and then throws food into the water to attract the alligator. For a few minutes, the moment is peaceful, and Christine asks what the tracker's range is. Jack says it is approximately a few kilometers, so the place where they stopped may not be the most exact. Knowing this, he decides to move away, but Teddy, without permission, tries to grab the piece of meat thrown into the water. Suddenly, he screams as if something had grabbed him, but it was only a joke to scare and worry the group. After the prank, the group continues farther ahead. At a certain point, Dion draws everyone's attention to show them something terrifying. On the riverbank, the head of the large alligator they wanted to see is separated from the rest of its body, and Jack realizes that something even larger attacked it with a huge bite. He says they need to return to the base, but Dion says she paid to see the animal up close, so she forces Jack to get closer. A disagreement happens among the group. Tim asks Jack to get them out of there as quickly as possible, and Christine realizes that this is not a tour route. Jack starts the return, but at a certain point, something crashes against the bottom of the boat and makes it stop. Suddenly, something begins to shake the boat violently, terrifying the group. All of a sudden, with monstrous strength, the unknown creature flips the boat, causing everyone to fall into the water. The moment is worrying, because they do not know what knocked them into the river. Quickly, they seek shelter on the hull of the overturned boat. Tim sees Dion trying to climb a tree inside the river and approaches to help her. However, his daughter sees large bubbles emerging in the water. Fearing it may be some predator, Sally asks her father to climb up to where they are. Then, when they see Jack injured, the group shouts for him to hurry and climb to a safe place. As soon as he climbs up, the submerged creature attacks again and this time drags the boat forward, causing it to become stuck against some strong nearby trees. Seeing that they can climb the thick branches of the tree, Hannah goes first, while the group helps Jack, who is injured. Upon seeing the flare box not too far away, Tim asks someone to get it for him. Christine, realizing that she can use the branches to reach the object, gathers courage when she notices that the river is calm. She crosses to the other tree and manages to reach the flare box. Then, she hands it to Sally, who instructs her father to use the flare to heat the knife and thus stop and cauterize Jack's wound. The group acts in a hurry so that the captain can regain his strength and then finishes the process, causing him momentary pain. A few minutes later, part of the group shouts, trying to attract the attention of anyone passing along the route, but Jack states that no one will hear them. When questioned by Teddy about what animal attacked them, Jack does not know what to say, since, while he was underwater, he was unable to see it. He reassures the group, claiming that before the attack, he sent a GPS location to the base, and as soon as they notice their absence at the end of the tours, at 7 at night, they will know where to find them. Dion, frightened, says they cannot be there when it gets dark, but they also cannot swim away, knowing that the distance is long and that they can easily be attacked by the creature in the dark water. While some try to grab their things in the water, Sally tells her father that Jack's wound is getting worse and could cause his death if he is not taken to the hospital. Then, upon seeing his grandson distracted while looking at the young women, Tim takes the improvised hook and throws it with precision to pull the compartment with water. He shares 2 bottles with the young women and ends up revealing that he will take care of them as if they were his daughters. He says that his wife, who has already passed away, made him become someone better and never give up on those he loves. Soon, seeing the girl's fear about the creature's return, Tim gives his pocket knife to Christine. Then, the two talk and try to disguise their fears and frustrations with smiles and memories from the past. Meanwhile, Teddy watches Jack, when, upon looking at the water, he sees large bubbles appearing again. Tim asks the group to climb higher into the tree, and at that moment, Sally ends up slipping from the branch and falls into the water. Seeing that she cannot swim, Christine quickly jumps into the water, grabs the woman, and brings her back to safety. In this tense moment, Hannah sees something large swimming toward Christine's movement and shouts for her to get out of the water immediately. Suddenly, the creature crashes against the tree trunk and ends up knocking Hannah into the swamp. All of a sudden, the creature begins to move beneath the young woman, leaving her terrified. Fearing for her friend, Christine climbs to the other tree to reach her through one of the branches. Seeing that she will not be able to get out of the water alone, Tim jumps into the river and tries to help her, attracting the creature to himself. Unfortunately, before he can react against the attack, he is suddenly dragged to the bottom, where the water soon turns red. Hannah screams in despair, and Sally deeply mourns the loss. Hannah hurries to reach the branch where Christine tries to pull her, but, because of the weight, her friend cannot help her. Without success, Hannah quickly heads to the tree trunk to climb. However, unexpectedly, the creature leaps with devastating fury and bites the young woman, taking her to the bottom. Without seeing what happened, Christine mourns the loss of her friend, while the others cannot believe what has just happened. The hours pass and night arrives. Meanwhile, at the base, Walter is finishing the employee's shift, but Jack has not yet returned. Upon realizing that the guide is late, he decides to go after him, fearing that something may have happened. Back in the swamp, the group is resting, when Teddy asks the guide if he saw the shape of the creature, very similar to a hippopotamus. However, no one knows for sure, since it is strange to imagine that such animals live there. It is noticeable that Jack is very weakened, so Christine approaches and offers him some of her water. The group has the idea of lighting a bonfire to serve as a signal, but Jack states that this will not be enough, since they are among dense vegetation and very far from the base. Dion says that all they need to do is surround the area with a circle of fire to scare away what they believe to be a large hippopotamus, and then dive to get the tracker and check whether it is on. The idea seems good, but she cannot swim. Jack is badly injured, and the terrified Sally does not want to enter the water. Teddy, with Christine's help, throws fuel around them and lights points of fire with Jack's lighter. The guide gives her the key to the safe where the device that sends the tracking signal to the base is, and Christine gathers courage to dive. Jack warns her to be quick because the fuel will not burn for long. Christine submerges to look for the device, but as soon as she enters the air pocket inside the boat, she comes across Hannah lifeless. Briefly mourning her friend, Christine hurries to grab what she went to get. Because of her delay, Teddy dives to look for her, and then the two return together to the surface. The device is handed to Jack, who restarts it and reactivates the GPS so that their location becomes visible to the friends at the base. Luckily for them, Walter was already searching for the group, and the signal reaches him. Immediately, the company boss speeds up the boat because he realizes that the location is far from the permitted route. A few minutes later, the group is happy to see Walter's boat approaching where they are. Suddenly, the lights go out, worrying everyone, who believe in a possible attack. Fortunately, the light turns back on, and minutes later, the boat approaches safely. Walter states that the fuel ran out, which is why it took him so long to reach them by rowing. Unfortunately, the group used the reserve fuel, so they will need to row to get out of that situation. At that moment, Jack tells what happened and which animal attacked them. Walter does not believe it and asks everyone to get into his boat quickly. When they grab Dion, she gets in furiously, claiming that she will sue Walter's company for incompetence, and throws herself at Jack, demanding that he take the blame for them being there. Teddy tries to pull the woman away, but ends up being knocked into the swamp. Before he can start swimming back in, the great creature emerges and reveals itself as an enormous hippopotamus. Walter asks the young man not to show hostility, but the attack is inevitable. Sally falls into total despair, losing her entire family in just a few hours. Minutes later, Walter, knowing that their escape will be frustrated by the creature, orders everyone to take shelter again in strong trees, because he is going hunting. Jack stays inside the boat, while Walter moves a little away from the tree, claiming that hippopotamuses are territorial, so they will soon meet again. The hunter asks the others to be his eyes around him and warn him if they see any movement. Suddenly, the water stirs, but they soon discover that it is Sally, who entered the swamp completely out of her mind due to the shock of the recent losses. The group asks the woman to return to the safe place, but she acts as if she cannot hear them. Without hope, she advances into the monster's territory and disappears amid the swamp fog. All of a sudden, the creature appears beside the boat and attacks the hunter. He ends up having his foot bitten. Jack manages to grab the gun and shoots the tranquilizer. The creature manages to drag the hunter to the bottom, but releases him under the anesthetic effect. Walter manages to reach a piece of solid ground and, while taking care of his wounds, asks Jack to reload the gun. At that moment, the group realizes that the guide has died and shows no sign of life. Walter asks the two survivors to stir the water so that he can safely make his way to the boat and reload more tranquilizers. Christine, seeing Dion's fear, asks her to find courage so they can get out of there alive and she can be with her children again. Then, after the motivational speech, the two climb onto the hull of the overturned boat and begin to stir the water with branches. Even fearing the animal, Walter enters the water, but comes face to face with the great creature. Frightened by the terrifying growl of the hippopotamus, he runs out and takes shelter between two trees. He lights a flare to scare away the beast, and at that moment, Christine goes to the boat to get the gun. Walter throws the flare into the mouth of the furious animal and manages to drive it away from there. Fortunately, they gain a generous amount of time and get into the boat together to leave that place. The escape is slow, and while they sail slowly, Walter explains that long ago, hippopotamus breeders were authorized on the farms and swamps of Louisiana, but time passed, and such breeding sites became unnecessary. Many animals were left to live freely, but they became hunting targets and went extinct. At least that was what everyone thought. Then, he says that he cannot orient himself on where they should go, and needs the sunrise to find the way. Knowing they will stay there longer, Christine takes the camera from Hannah's bag and uses the night vision. Luckily for them, an old abandoned building is found, and everyone immediately heads there. They take a look around the place and discover cages at the back of the facility, where there are hippopotamus bones left behind for dozens of years. On the other side, a moan echoes, and soon Christine sees that it is a calf trapped beneath part of the broken iron bars. When she approaches, the great creature arrives at the place. Christine runs before she is reached, and thanks to the wooden base, the creature cannot bite the young woman. Desperate, the group enters the building. Needing fire, the trio searches for fuel, and luckily for them, still finds a gallon of oil that can be used to start the flames. Walter begins to explain a viable plan so they can escape. However, the creature appears and prevents them from leaving. Then, with fury, it destroys the entrance door, and in panic, Dion locks herself with Christine inside the second room, leaving the hunter to die. The hippopotamus soon forces the metal door and manages to get through it, forcing the two women to run separately. Seeing that Dion will be attacked, Christine attracts the beast to herself and tells the lady to enter the compartment that will take them outside. Dion jumps into the lower compartment and, unfortunately, ends up breaking her leg. Meanwhile, the young woman slips on the oil and gets the idea to set the place on fire. She attracts the monstrous creature to the center, near the gallon, and then throws a match to start the fire. Christine takes shelter in the lower compartment, and the gallon explodes, causing a huge fireball that is seen from far away. Upon getting outside, Christine asks Dion to climb on top of the cages and wait for the rescue, because, feeling pity for the calf, she decides to stay to free it. This gesture soon proves to be foolish. The creature, still alive, appears among the vegetation and quickly presses Dion against one of the cages, causing her death. Soon after, it approaches Christine and growls fiercely. Christine, inside the cage, shows kindness and shows that she wants to help the hippopotamus calf. She frees the small creature and then prays, asking not to be attacked. Fortunately, the sound of a helicopter bursts through the sky, revealing that the fire signal was enough for the rescue to be sent. Morning arrives, and we see the mother and baby hippopotamus living freely in nature, making it clear that the creature was only protecting the area where her offspring was. The film ends with Christine returning home safely, mourning the losses and the death of her friend.